welcome everyone. My name is Bettina Akukwe, and this is our first Words of Wisdom speaker series this fall semester. And WiSDEM, in case you don't know, is our Elements Community College group for women in science, design, engineering, and manufacturing. And I am very, very happy to welcome Betty Baker today. She is our speaker for today. She's a product engineer at Ashley Furniture, and you can already see the first slide of her presentation. So I'm very happy that she's going to say a little more about herself, but just a little bit of background. She has been with Ashley for 36 years. And when she graduated, she was the only woman. So she has been through what a lot of us are going through. So being one of the few unicorns in a very male-dominated industry. So she's also a certified SOLIDWORKS Professional. And I am very honored to have her here today. And I'll just hand it over to Betty right now so she can tell us a little bit about herself. And then, of course, I do have a couple of questions, but please feel free, if you do have questions, just unmute yourself and share that with us. All right, Betty, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you both for having me. Like she had said, just jump in, ask questions. Let's just keep this informal. I'm going to share a little bit about myself, and please just jump in and ask if you need to. As you can see, I work for Ashley Furniture, and one of the reasons I'm going to talk a little bit about Ashley is because I know we have a facility very close to your school. It's not very far away. Oh, great. Now my computer's not working here. There we go. So my first question to most people is, when you hear of Ashley Furniture, what do you think about? Furniture. Yeah. So we have
full sectional from Ashley.
We have many careers here, and that's with many of the areas in the industry. So as you can see, you know, we have design, manufacturing. You can be out on the floor working. Out on the floor, you can be a supervisor. You can be in a quality position. We have the home stores. We have the trucking. Even the image on the bottom, the graphics, design. So there's just many areas, accounting, that you can think of. So it's not just male dominated in some of these big industries that you think about. So I will talk a little bit about ourselves. And of course, our vision at Ashley is that we want to be the best. And our mission is to improve quality, reduce costs, do more business so we can be profitable and stay in business. So this is kind of what drew me, I guess, to Ashley Furniture, or their values. So as she had said, I'm a product engineer here at Ashley. I began my career 36 years ago. I graduated high school with a diploma in my hand. I was one of these students that I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I couldn't really afford four-year college, and I don't know that I really wanted to go to a four-year college. I really didn't know anything what I wanted to do. So I came to Ashley Furniture. The main reason was it was 10 miles from where I grew up. Very close. They were doing a big hiring. They just started their bedroom furniture. Big hiring at that time. So I came here for 1 year. That was my goal. I'm going to go to Ashley Furniture for 1 year, work out in the factory, and earn some money so I can decide what I want to do. And working here with the core values, our mission, I really enjoyed working here out on the factory. I started as a catcher on the machine. I moved up to an operator on that machine, and I just really enjoyed it. I liked the culture here. And I knew I was always going to stay in the area. I wasn't going to move far away anyway. And at that time, they were just starting a tuition reimbursement program. So how it all started was at the machine I worked on, we needed a cabinet. So asked somebody to build us a cabinet, and they wanted to know what we wanted. So of course I sketched something out, paper and pen, didn't know anything about drafting. I actually went home and asked my husband, how do you dimension things? What do I do? I mean, I knew absolutely nothing. So did that, and yeah, I kind of just started dabbling around with that, I guess, a little bit, and I went back to school. So I started taking night classes, and it was an hour away at our local technical college. And my first class, of course, was a CAD class, and I fell in love with that. When I could no longer take night classes, because at the time, back then, everything wasn't available day and night. So I took as many night classes as I could, and I stayed working full-time during the day. But when I ran out of night classes, I had to make a change. So I moved over and started working nights so I could go back to school full-time during the day. So it was kind of tough because I needed to work at that time 30 hours to stay full-time, to have my tuition paid for. So I had to work 30 hours a week. Plus I went to school full-time, and it was an hour away. So I had 2 hours of driving every day, but they were very flexible, and I was able to work nights, weekends, whatever it worked for me to get my 30 hours. So I was able to obtain my associate degree in mechanical design and moved into product engineering, where I work today. So a little bit more about myself. As it says, I graduated from Western Technical College. I love SOLIDWORKS. I started out in AutoCAD, but we made the move, of course, to 3D, and I love SOLIDWORKS. I became certified in 2005. That's back when it was the 8-hour test, which was awful, but it was well worth taking that test. We have a SOLIDWORKS User Group, which Mr. Adkins is a part of his own SOLIDWORKS User Group. Our group has been around since 2002, where I started out as the secretary of our group and moved into the president role in 2004, which I still work in today. I've also been elected to be the SOLIDWORKS User Group regional rep for the Midwest US, and I have, I think, 10 states maybe. And I just kind of try to help out all the user groups in our area, in our region. If they need help with things, help them get started, help them find presenters, different things like that. I'm a member of the Mechanical Design Advisory Committee for both Western Technical College in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Minnesota State College in Winona, Minnesota. I'm only 30 minutes from the Minnesota border. I also taught SOLIDWORKS for 2 summers at Western Technical College. And my latest endeavor has been a FIRST Robotics team, which has been very exciting, very eye-opening for me. But I absolutely love that and enjoy that. That is something I never thought I would ever be a part of. Engineering. What do you think of when you hear the word engineering? I just threw a bunch of them out here, but there's all different kinds of engineering out here. So you can be in manufacturing like I am, product engineering, medical, software, aerospace. I mean, there's just, it's endless, the opportunities that you have out there. Again, a very male-dominated field, but we do need women out there. We need that little diversity out there, and we need a woman's thought process out there. And as she had stated, I was the only woman when I went to school, because that was back in the 80s. So I was the only woman in my program, graduated the only woman, and still here at Ashley Furniture. We're in a very rural area in Wisconsin. So I'm the only female engineer here today. I think, you know, in our bigger cities, there's more women engineers, but where I am, we have very few. So it is a very male-dominated field, but as with any field, if it's something you enjoy and something you like, definitely don't be afraid to try it. you know, at least get out there and see what you can do. So I just have a couple of slides here to kind of show you guys what I do. So I don't know if it's real glamorous, but we get a concept from our design department. Our design department comes up with different ideas, and we have a design engineering department who will draw the shell, and our R&D department will make this furniture, and that will go to our furniture market. And whether it's a go or not a go at market, if it's a go, it will come back to me. And at that time is when I start to engineer it. I take in consideration all of the different yields, whether we need to cut parts out of a 8-foot board, 10-foot board, 12-foot board, the different types of edges that we're putting on that. The design will tell us a lot of that. But so I start to draw that. I draw each and every single piece that's in this furniture. So, and we also draw the way it's going to be built in our assembly line. So each of these are sub-assemblies. So the one on the left is a side assembly with the drawer glides attached. That's exactly how it will be built, going down the assembly line in that sub-assembly. So we're going to draw it, showing them exactly what they need for each of these sub-assemblies, put it together to a main assembly. So whether you're doing cars, furniture, whatever, you're basically doing the same type of concept. Here we put it together. There's an exploded view, and it's probably kind of hard to see, but there's a bill of material on here so they can see at every single step and every single sub-assembly exactly what they need. Screws, blocks, the interior components, it's all on here for them. And then of course we do individual blueprints for each of our parts because it has to go through the factory. So I have to know a little bit about the machinery that are out there, what they're capable of, the spacings of these holes, what our machines can do on this one so it goes through properly. It's not extra hits from the head coming down on the drills. And so I have to know a little bit about the machinery that it goes through, types of profiles I'm putting on the part, which board I need, things like that. So that was just my quick PowerPoint about what I do. So now we'll let you guys start asking your questions.
Well, thank you so much for your short presentation. That was very insightful. And you mentioned something pretty much in the middle. You said that the field really needs more females, more women. Why do you think so?
I think we do. We just have a different thought process than men. Not that it's good or bad. We think differently. I think we're a little more critical thinking, and we do things differently. So we just need female out there. I mean, I challenge people every now and then with the way I think, I guess it is. So we need that different thought process out there, just like we need different age groups out there. We need the young people, the old people, all working together. We need men, women. It makes a very good team when you have diversity in there.
Yeah, I agree. Tessie B, you have a question for us. But you're muted right now. I'm sorry. There you go.
Hi, how about that? I'm glad you said young and old. My name's Tessie. It's really nice to meet y'all. Happy I was invited to this. I've retired from being a chef for over 30 years, and so it's good to hear young and old sometimes. My question is, like, what is the materials and where do the materials come from? Like, what is decided on the type of material? Is there different lines of furniture, like it's going to be wood, or if it's going to be fabricated, or
Yep.
I'm just curious about that.
Oh, very good question. Yeah, we have different divisions here at Ashley Furniture. So we have our upholstery division that does our sofas, love seat, things like that, that are cloth furniture, leather, fluffy, if you want to call it that. And we also have outdoor furniture. So your outdoor table and chairs, your fire pits. We have an import division. So all of that stuff gets engineered and brought over from overseas. So of course your outdoor furniture is probably more of your metal type of furniture and your upholstery furniture. Your import furniture, a lot of that is more your hardwood, and it's more of your veneers. So that might be a little bit more of your real wood just because of your cost. And what we do here at the plant is engineered wood. So it's particle board, MDF wood. So that's mainly what I deal with in there.
Okay.
The designers will come up with a look and they basically sell it for a cost. So then when it comes to me, I need to make sure I'm making it for that cost. So that's going to help me decide. And depending on the profiles, certain machines can only put, a foiler can only work with MDF board. It can't work with particle board. And so there's different standards that we have. But yeah, very good question. So it just depends on what we do. We don't do a lot of real wood here in this facility, but we do have sometimes like your bun foot, a foot on a piece will be
Right.
real wood. We actually do a lot of urethane, which will come from China, Vietnam, wherever overseas. So it might be a plastic foot that we're putting on there too. So we may have plastic parts that are painted to look like wood also.
Interesting. Thank
Yeah,
you.
very good question.
Any other questions right now? All right, I have a question. What do you think are the biggest misperceptions that about your industry?
First of all, that you can't do it. A lot of females think they can't do it. It's a male dominated field, so they think they can't do it, and you can. A lot of people also think when you're going to work out in industry, it's dirty. You know, a lot of women don't want to go out there because it's dirty. It's not their type of field, but it's not. I mean, maybe back in the day it was, but nowadays we have robots, you know, working conditions are very good. I used to be out on the factory floor, so I enjoy when I can go back out on the factory floor and still talk to those people and get their opinions. They're the ones that are out there working on the product every single day. It's amazing the questions that and comments they come up with for us. We have a suggestion program here at Ashley Furniture. Suggestions from the people out on the floor because they are the people that are building this and they're the people doing it every single day. So a lot of suggestions come from them. So a misconception, I guess, is that you can't do it or you don't know how to do it. You just need to try it. And like I said, coming from the factory, I guess, has helped me a lot because I kind of worked my way through the ranks, if you want to say.
Right. And do you think there are any barriers for women in your industry, or is it just in our heads?
It's both. I do think there are barriers because it is tougher. You know, I think it's tough for women. It is. I remember I was at a conference once and I can still remember it was an older gentleman, you know, thinking, why are you here? You should basically be home having babies. You don't belong here, you know, and it was at a conference. But yeah, there are barriers. And I think sometimes being a mom can be a barrier. You know, I did the mom thing and that was my choice. I went back to school before I had kids and I went into engineering. But then I didn't do a lot of my travel and a lot of that I did some, but I didn't do a lot of it because we had kids, you know, and my husband worked really strange hours. So I was the mom, and I still picked them up from school, and I wanted to go to all the ball games and do all that. So sometimes that can be a barrier, but that was my choice. And once they got older, that's when I let myself have a career, I guess.
Mhm.
And I said, yes, that's the biggest thing. I think that held me back was never saying yes to things. And then once I did, my first big yes was traveling overseas. They had asked a few times, do you want to go to China, Vietnam? And I was like, no, I am not doing that. No, there's no way I can do that for 2, 3 weeks. I've got kids, whatever. Finally, one time when they asked me, I said yes. And it was like, who just said that? Because I'm not going. And that was one of the best experiences in my life. I've been to China, Vietnam, Hong Kong, so I
Wow.
spent 2 weeks traveling, going to our factories,
Wow.
working on, like I had said, you can do plastic feet or things. So it was a bedroom group that I was working on, and they were actually making some of the components for that. So it was a really good trip. And I guess, yeah, just saying yes to different things. As I stated, I taught a SolidWorks class, and I am not a teacher. I feel for you teachers, you guys do an amazing job, but I'm not a teacher. And one year they needed someone to teach SolidWorks at our technical school. And so they came up to called me and said, you want to teach? And of course I said no, because I'm not a teacher. And they're like, you have a degree, you can teach, you're certified. And I said, no, I have a job. And they said, they really needed somebody. And I said, no. And they kept calling because they needed someone. And it was actually during my work day. So of course I had to say no. And then finally I went to my boss and I said, they need somebody. We're going to have a program that students are going to graduate because they don't have a SolidWorks teacher. So I ended up taking vacation from my job
Oh, wow. Okay.
to go to the school, and I taught. So I had like 2 weeks before the class started. I've never taught. And he's like, do you have a curriculum?
Uh-oh.
And I had to go home and Google how to write a curriculum because I had absolutely no idea. But luckily these students stuck with me. And again, that was another great experience for me. I think it helped me more than the students helped me. So
Mhm.
I think just saying yes sometimes and trying new things. I think that's a big barrier out there. As you had asked what some of the barriers are. And for me, that was a big one, I guess, is not saying yes to different things, not trying new things. And yeah, you might fail, but again, they might be the best experiences you have, and it might lead you in a totally different path. Again, I loved teaching that class. I absolutely loved it. I don't want to be a teacher, but it opened new things up for me. Now, today at my job, I do a lot more, I guess, training and teaching than I used to. So just kind of be open, and you can do these things. So don't be afraid of them. And just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you're not talented and that you're not strong and that you can't do some of these men's jobs if you want to say or call them that. So I guess that is a big barrier, can be a barrier.
I have a question. My name's Liz. I'm the department head here for horticulture and also agricultural biotechnology. And I was just curious, being kind of in a leadership role, do you have anything that you've struggled with, like as being a leader, regardless of gender, and kind of how have you overcome that, or what are some things that you've done to improve on that, if you've had any?
Yeah, for me, public speaking is really tough, and getting up in front of a group, even doing this, I don't do this very often. I've been a STEM advocate my whole life, or my whole career, I should say, because being in a male dominated field, I've never had another woman to work with really, and I never had women role models. So I've always tried to promote STEM. And I guess that's kind of helped me the most right there is I started a little group one year. We did a summer class. I had a teacher come up to me and wanted to do a summer class. So we did a girls can do it class. So it was a little group, I don't even remember, 5th, 6th grade. And so we brought them on site to Ashley Furniture. It was just one afternoon, but I had to come up with something. What can these little girls do, and what can I do to show them about manufacturing, the whole thing, not just about engineering, but I want to show them the whole scope of manufacturing. So I got other women involved, and I took a female designer, myself. We brought in our interns. We had a couple of female interns, and we had a female from packaging, our packaging engineering. And we brought them all together. So it's like, well, what girls want? So we made bracelets with the group. So I had our female designer design the bracelet, and we got the list of all the names ahead of time from the teacher. So we actually put them on a machine. They were just tiny little charms, if you want to call them. And we had each of their names engraved on them, or their initials. But then we designed it, and we had a female engineer it. So she did all the drawings for it. It was just a bracelet, but she still did the clasp, and she drew every single part out in SolidWorks and put it together. So then we took them out to the factory. We showed them the machine that engraved their initial so they could see that. But then we came back and we set up an assembly line. So just these little 6 girls, but we showed them an assembly line and how each job is very important, and that they all needed to do a certain step. They needed to learn at the directions, and we had a person that checked the quality. So if it wasn't right, you had to go back and fix what wasn't right. And then we had a packaging engineer that was a female. So we also had them package it, and she drew up her packaging. So acted like we were going to ship it somewhere. So they knew why she packaged it the way she did. And so basically for me, back to the question, I got a little off here. It's doing things like that, talking to people. Ashley Furniture is awesome about training us. So we go through a lot of courses, and not only to be leaders, but they're very good for ourselves too. So getting up in front of others has been a real barrier for me. But the more I'm doing it, by doing this, by teaching a class, by being uncomfortable, that has been the biggest thing. I've had to make myself be very uncomfortable many, many times. And that's what's helped me get through a lot of things. It's kind of tough also being a female and getting the men to respect you, I think, is kind of the next thing too that's been very, very tough for me. I think that's something I've worked on my whole career. I finally feel like, I guess I'm one of the guys now, if that's what you want to say. But I think I finally, after all these years now, have gained a lot of respect in my field.
We have a question from James, and he writes, everything around us was designed by someone. Women have a different perspective, which is missing from many products today. For women interested in the design engineering field, what is the first step, and is it financially rewarding?
Yes, a good question. The first step, I think, for a lot of women is research. Research what you like, and I guess find out what you don't like. That's a big thing out there too. It's like, do you like the CAD side of things? Do you like the engineering side of things? Do you like the business side? What do you like and what don't you like? And that's very hard to know. So a thing around here too is we do a lot of job shadows and a lot of bringing people in anybody wants to come in for a little while, and I'm assuming the Ashley Furniture in North Carolina would do the same thing. Sit in on, for an afternoon with someone, see what it's about. And I know that's not enough time to make up a career choice in an afternoon, but talk to other women, to other men, doesn't have to be women, but talk to others in the fields that you're interested in and see if it is something that you think you might like. We have a designer here that when she signed up for college, she wanted to be in graphic design, and they actually put her in the wrong program. They put her in industrial design. So when she got there, she said, no, I don't want industrial design. That sounds dirty. That sounds scary. She didn't want it. And after talking with people, she realized, they're like, do you even know what industrial design does? And she's like, no, but because the name didn't interest her, she didn't think it was going to be a good field for her. And she's tried it. And, she's now our head designer here at Ashley Furniture, and she loved it. It's like, think about every single thing that you touch, every single thing. And that's what we tried to portray to those little girls that day. Everything you touch, whether it's your backpack, your toaster at home, your phone, we have to wear a mask here now every day. It's like someone had to design that. Someone had to engineer things. Every product gets touched. So you need an accounting division, you need a engineer to do it, you need a designer to decide, are blue backpacks going to be the cool thing this year, or should the purple backpacks, what's the cool thing? Same with furniture, same with your cars, same with everything. So there's just, I guess people don't think about the field of design and engineering and all the aspects that go into it. Everything that you touch gets made by someone. And whether it's people on the assembly line, nowadays it's getting to be a lot more robotics. But then you also need the people now that work with the robots. They need to program them. They need to fix them. They need to build them. So it's a huge field out there, and it is financially rewarding. Like I said, I took the tuition reimbursement program. So when I got done with school, and because I had good grades and I worked full time, it was tough. I had a tough couple of years of my life, but it was well worth it. And I'm very glad that I did it. And I think back now and wonder how I did it, but I'm glad I did.
Very good. You said at the beginning that you were the only female when you graduated. Did you have a mentor or somebody that guided you through the way, or was it just all on yourself?
It was all on myself, and I didn't think I could really do it. So, and of course, I didn't go back to school right away when I was 18. I waited a couple of years because I worked in the field. So besides being the only female, I was also a couple years older than most everybody in my class. So that was a little weird. Even though I was only, 4 or 5 years older, I still felt like I was the mom to everybody, which being my age, I'm the mom here at work to everybody too. But yeah, there were no female engineers. And like I said, I'm in a rural area, so we don't have a lot of females. So I was kind of out on my own island, and I kind of had to struggle every day. And I think I've had to work harder my whole entire career to prove to myself and to prove everybody that I can do this. And I am just as smart as the guys, and I can do just as good of a job as the guys. And I started off by just taking a couple of night classes. And then when I really got into it, then I wanted to go full time. So then, my husband didn't let me quit. By that time too, he realized that I'm serious. This was something I wanted to do. So my family was very supportive about me doing this. So yeah, I had no role models. So I think that's why I try to be involved in STEM now. anything I can do. I'd been to, James had us come to the school a couple years ago and we spoke at your school. Like I said, I helped start a FIRST Robotics team. So now I'm teaching kids SolidWorks and engineering. So anything I can do to help other students, young, old, whatever, you're not alone. There are other people out there, and you got this. You can do it. It's not that hard.
I think it's awesome, all the things you do for others. Are there any people that inspire you?
That's a good question, because when you ask somebody who inspires you, right away I think their first thought goes to somebody famous. You know, it has to be somebody famous or somebody important, and I think it's every one of you on this call. I'm guessing they're going to inspire me. If we had time to hear every one of your stories, to me, it's the real women out there that are inspiring to me. The ones that, Tessie, you had commented that you were a chef. I mean, to me, I wish I could hear each one of your stories, because I think that is so awesome. You were a chef for 30 years and now you're taking this leap and going back to school and changing careers. To me, that's very inspiring. So I'm inspired by the real women that are out there, not by an actress or somebody famous. And it's the hardworking women. And I'm sure there's many women that are single moms and divorced women and whatever. Those are the real ones. So I think it changes every day. Every time I meet somebody new, I'm inspired by somebody. I look back and, like I said, how did I do it 35 years ago or 30 years ago, whatever, when I went back to school and, you know, married and worked full time, drove 2 hours a day and still went to school. And I had to get good grades if I wanted the tuition reimbursement, you know. So it's like I gave up a couple years of my life and family, let's say family gatherings, because weekends were for homework or weekends were for working, you know. So to me, that's inspiring. Each one of you that listen to this or is on the call, I'm sure it's not easy for you, no matter what field, whether it's male dominated or any field. Just you're getting out of your comfort zone, I'm guessing, and doing something different. So to me, thank you. You guys are inspiring. I'm sure it's not been easy for anybody, especially in these crazy times right now.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Do we have any questions? No? Okay. So I have a fun question for you. Where can we find you on a Saturday morning at 10?
Okay, that's a two-part question, I guess, because since I've started robotics, my Saturday mornings now have become, we start at 9 a.m. We work most nights. So I work my job until 3 o'clock, start robotics at 4, and we go till 8 is a typical evening for me. And our Saturdays, though, would go from like 9 in the morning until 3 o'clock. So I'm up at our automation shop with the kids, and we're working on our robot, and we're designing, doing everything. We're making buttons, we're designing t-shirts, we're working on the robot, we have programmers, we're practicing, we're making lunch, we feed the kids. We do SolidWorks, we're teaching them whatever we can, we're sending out newsletters, we're teaching them how to ask for money, how to go out and look for sponsors for the team. Why should somebody sponsor this new team of kids that nobody knows about? So we're trying to help them. So that's where I want to be on a Saturday at 10 o'clock. But thanks to COVID, we haven't been able to practice now since March. So getting a little stir crazy. Now my Saturdays are at home, cleaning my house, running my errands, helping my mom. I'd much rather be with the kids. That's a lot more fun.
I can imagine. But how did you get into that? I mean, how did you start doing that robotics team?
I asked myself that many times too, because I'm not sure how I got into it, but our automation engineer at Ashley Furniture wanted to start a team. He's always wanted to start a team, and I didn't even know FIRST Robotics existed. And somebody had told him, why don't you call Betty? I think it's something because he knows I'm involved in STEM, and he needed somebody to teach the SolidWorks. He said, why don't you call Betty? So he did. We started emailing, we started chatting. I didn't even know him personally. We both work at the company, but it's a huge company. And so he's like, there's a competition going on an hour away from us. And he's like, why don't you check it out? So it's like, perfect. I actually had an appointment that day. I had the day off. I said, I'll pop in for 15 minutes. I knew nothing about robots. I didn't even look it up online. I knew nothing. And I stopped in, and 15 minutes turned into 2 hours. And it's amazing. I don't know if anybody on this call knows anything about FIRST Robotics. Check it out. Even if you don't want to be a volunteer or you don't have time, but check it out, because what these kids are doing nowadays is amazing. It was either a sophomore or junior in high school. She took me around. She showed me everything. She spent like 2 hours with me explaining the whole game to me, explaining the challenge. Every year they come up with a new challenge, and you have 6 weeks to build a robot. And it's a whole team. So it's not just your nerds that are building this robot, it's everybody. Like I said, we're teaching them the financial aspect. I mean, you have a set price, but I mean, we're spending thousands of dollars to build a robot. So you need fundraisers, you need sponsors to sponsor you. We're travel agents, because when we travel, we need to get hotels, we need to feed the kids, we need cars, we need to figure transportation. Like I said, we have graphics kids that are doing newsletters for us. And so it's a whole team. So even if you're not the nerd, the programmer, the brains behind the physical robot, maybe there's something in there for everybody. And it caught me just like that. And I said yes. And it, again, another thing I said yes to, and it has changed my life by saying yes to that. And yeah, I kind of ignore my husband and kids when it's robotic season, which ended up, we've done very well. We're a new team. We're only 3 years old, but we've made it to World now twice. And so they don't see me. Our robotics team, we actually took our team to a year-round team now. So not just 6 weeks, we've turned into pretty much year-round until COVID hit us. So I've kind of left them and joined my new robotics family. So,
Your robotics family.
yeah.
They are very, very glad to have you and very fortunate to have you. That just sounds like a wonderful story. Tessie, you raised your hand. Do you have a question for us?
Hi, Betty. Thank you. Forgive me if I'm sure you said it and I didn't catch it. Are you saying FIRST Robotics?
Yes.
And like, where is this taking place, and where do you
Yep.
look for information?
So you can just go and Google FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, FIRST Robotics. But there's many kinds of programs. We just happen to be involved with the FIRST Robotics team, and that's a high school team. There are places all over the world. We are in a small community here. We have a competition. Our closest one is an hour away from us. And we've competed with teams from China. They've come to Wisconsin.
Yeah, congratulations.
Sweden and all over. So, I mean, this is awesome. High school kids that get to travel and get to compete, to come from China to Wisconsin and Sweden. So FIRST Robotics, Dean Kamen, he started this many years ago. We've just been involved for 3 years now. There's different levels of it. Our community is only doing high school at the moment, but there are some communities that do little kids, kindergarten, all the way up, and yeah, teaching them programming and, you know, hands-on building skills.
Coding. Yeah.
Yes, everything. And we also started in our community VEX. That's another type. It's not related to FIRST. FIRST is very expensive. We spend $15,000, $20,000 a year on our season. I mean, with our travel and everything, and we compete each competition. Oh, we spend 30,000, I bet. Yeah. Each competition costs us $5,000 to get in. And we don't get any money back if we win. It's all scholarship money. So,
Cool.
and we don't get paid anything either. This is all a volunteer driven, all of this. But we did start a VEX program for middle school. And the cool thing about this is VEX is much cheaper than FIRST. And our company actually, again, Andy, the guy that started the FIRST in our area, got involved in the VEX, and our company, Ashley Furniture, helped start, and we now have like 80 teams in the area. So we can have our own competitions, and they've funded this to get it off the ground. And now teams are building on it themselves and sustaining it themselves. And the cool thing for us is we had our own VEX team. So our high school team sponsored a middle school team this year.
Yeah.
And our high school kids were the coaches. So it ended up being, you know, we went to a couple competitions, and the high school kids, we were there at a couple of them, and the high school kids took over. And we had one competition where both myself and Andy were out of town that weekend. So it's like the high school kids took them to the competition, got them there. So, I mean, leadership skills for the high school kids, it's just helping them at that level by leading the middle school kids. And middle school kids,
Absolutely.
we have the same shop, they're around us. So hopefully we're growing them into our high school team. But if you look up FIRST Robotics or FIRST Robotics, and
yeah, I wrote it down.
in your neighborhood, in your community, because
Yeah.
it's amazing. It really is. I love it. I wish I would have known about this 20 years ago.
Oh, sure.
And I wish I could have had my kids involved in this.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have in your group?
We have a small group, and ours is a little different. Most of the robotics teams are run by the school. So you have a school team. Ours is a community team. So we're lucky enough that Ashley Furniture has a robotic shop where we build our robots for Ashley. And they let us use a corner of their shop. So we're able to use their equipment. And because we're in very small communities, we made it a county team. So we have kids from 5 or 6 different schools. So kids are traveling, you know, 40 minutes a night to come to practice because they're coming from different schools, which is really cool, because when we first started this, you know, a couple of the local schools are big rivals in sports and stuff. And it's like, really, we're going to get these kids to work together and be on a team together when they've hated each other all these years because of being a rival. And yeah, the kids are awesome. A couple weeks ago, they sent me a picture because of COVID. We can't get together. And they sent me a picture that they all got together one night for campfire. And so we do have a little family there, and a lot of the parents have found how much fun it is. And even if you don't think you can help, you can help, whether it's driving some night, whether it's helping with the newsletter. We make the kids do the work. We're not there to work. We're there to coach them and to help them. So anybody can help out. And even on a Saturday, we need food. You know, people can cook a meal or whatever it might be, helping run to pick up the t-shirts. You know, we have the kids design our t-shirts every year. You know, they're so proud when those t-shirts come, and we have a high school person that designed it, you know, and you look up in the crowd and see all these t-shirts that you designed as a high school student, and you didn't even know you wanted to work in design. So it's for everyone. It's for girls and boys. And, you know, we have a girl this year that's a really good programmer. She just started and, you know, she became a captain of, you know, the program for programming. She just loved it. So anybody can do this along with your job. And the earlier we can catch them and get them involved, the earlier they can see that they can do anything in this world.
Have any of your kids from the group graduated from high school yet? And if yes, what program did they go to?
Yep, we do have, what do we have? 3 that have graduated so far? I don't even know. I think so, 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think that have graduated, and they are in some type of robotics or engineering. Other
Okay.
than one, she actually started in the program and she actually went back to, she's doing early childhood development.
Okay.
So, I mean, it kind of works with our group in a way, but we also try to do internships then.
Okay.
We've given a few of the students, because they're with robotics, they know our company is very good with internships. So a few of our students have had internships also. And yeah, they've stayed in the program. Another cool thing that we've been able to do is because we get out there, we fundraise. Because we have 5 or 6 communities, we're fundraising in many communities. So we're doing okay right now. And we're giving back to our kids. So we're giving our students scholarships.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, last year we gave away 1, the year before we had 2 seniors. So we're giving away $1,000 scholarships.
Wow.
For our seniors, yeah, to give back to the kids that want to be in this program, and they're in there every day. They have to meet certain criteria, you know, and they have to apply for a scholarship. They have to write something up and we have to approve it. And so, yeah, we're trying to give back by giving out scholarships, by starting a middle school team. So we're hoping the kids are learning from this, and yeah, they're staying in the program. We have, like I said, 3 students now, I think, that graduated and are staying in robotics or engineering.
That's awesome. All right, we're running out of time. So if you have one last question, now would be a good time. Okay, well, if not, I want to thank you so much, Betty, for joining us today and for sharing your story with us. And yeah, it was very inspirational. Thank you so much. It has been recorded, so I am going to use this recording to share with our other students that were not able to attend the session today. But thank you so much for sharing with us, and all the best for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And if anybody feels like it, please reach out, even if it's a question about anything. I mean, I put my email address out there. It's bbaker@ashleyfurniture.com. And yeah, I can try to help somehow, whether it's set up a job shadow, whether it's find somebody in the community for you to talk to, or whatever it might be, find a FIRST Robotics team. But let me know. I would definitely help out if I can. So thank you for having me.
Sounds
Thanks
great.
so much for your time.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.